Whatever he saw clearly didn't want to be seen. Is this how people disappear off the face of the earth? The after effects of what he'd seen remained with him all night, so much so that a grown man pulled the duvet over his head and just lay there in the darkness in fear, thinking something. But what? Something, an unknown something, was going to come and get them.
I think he knew somebody were looking at him. I think he put something out there to stop you doing that. And he thought, what's the thing that can scare them? And the thing that could scare me was he could get me kids.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Truth Proof. I'm next to a main road here. I've stopped off and decided to do a little introduction to the one that I'm going to talk about when I get into the woodland. So if you guys can focus on that woodland over there, that strip of trees. I think we're looking 1/4 of a mile away into that woodland. So just over there are the cottages. And imagine a light travelling across the top of the trees towards the heart of Danes Dyke. And for some reason, unbeknown to anybody, it has the ability to cause unimaginable fear. Lights in the sky causing terror. Are they UFOs or are they something else? Your guess, guys, is as good as mine. Okay, Bob, let's go. So we're now parked up and we'll walk to the area overlooking the woodland and walk through what this guy actually saw that made him so frightened. After all, how can a sphere of light induce extreme fear? I really don't know. What do you guys think? Is it possible? And he felt it was aware of him as well, but we'll touch on that shortly. Let's just get through here. Come on, Bob. Near the road at the moment, and although it's not busy, come on. I don't want Bob getting run over, do I? But we'll just see how this pans out. Because we're walking towards this area of trees where the light slowly made its way across the top of the trees. Come on. Come on. Come on. Okay, I've just about brought us to this strip of trees where I'm hoping we get a little bit of protection from the wind. Let's just drop his lead down. So we're looking at July 2023 when this man, and that we no need to say his name, went on holiday with his wife and his 2 teenage children, and they stayed in an area which I've already showed you guys, and had a week around Flamborough, Bridlington and Danes Dyke. I've not been in the cottage, but he tells me that it has excellent views of the entrance to Danes Dyke and the sea beyond that, and obviously this stretch of woodland. He also told me that he came on holiday every year with his wife and family, and he'd done that since 2012, having seen nothing of an unusual nature in between those times. He said that the windows of the property had excellent views of Danes Dyke and all the surrounding land, which is key really to how he observed what he did come to observe. He said on this particular night, and it was the 11th of July, the skies were clear and bright, and he found himself looking out over the area and over towards the woodland, something he did many times whilst holidaying in the area. And then he said, to his absolute amazement, a bright silver object suddenly appeared in the sky, and it looked to be just above the trees. He's totally mesmerised. His wife and his kids had gone to bed, so he's just left standing looking at this object that's just appeared. He said it slowly began to travel across the tree line. So, if you guys imagine, it's slowly travelling along the tree line. He said it was perfectly round and very, very bright silver in colour. And his estimation was that it was 30 to 40 feet above the trees. Of course, it could have been much further back, and we've only got this man's word on how far and his estimations on the day. But that's all we can do, take the witness accounts and run with them. He also estimated that it was approximately 6 to 8 feet in circumference. And surprisingly, despite it being so bright and shiny, it didn't seem to illuminate any area of the sky or the treetops around it. And he thinks it was about 30 to 40 feet above the treetops. He gave an analogy of, can you imagine a Catherine wheel? You know, the fireworks. He said it almost seemed to be spinning like that, just absolutely turning within itself and in a perfect symmetry that moved along the trees. Crazy really, isn't it? He said it appeared as though there was some kind of energy around its circumference, a very, very thin energy, where these sparks of silvery light were spinning in this Catherine wheel, that kind of fashion. And then what happened next totally threw him. I mean, he just wasn't expecting it. He says, because after looking at it for 30 seconds to a minute, and remember it's travelling slowly, a wave of unimaginable fear just overcome him. A fear like he'd never felt before just washed over his entire body. For some reason, he said that he felt it had instantly become aware of him. And he said, I know this sounds silly. He said, I suddenly thought, it's coming to get us. It's going to come and get us. And he just felt absolutely terrified by what he was observing. How could a sphere of light create or induce such a feeling on a person? Absolutely beyond words. And the thought that it was coming to get them terrified him. I can't get my head around it myself, if I'm being truthful. Any of these scenarios and situations that people feel like they're placed in when observing true unexplained phenomena. But this is what he's telling me. He told me that the next thing he did was double check the door was locked, front and back, pulled the curtains shut, and then ran upstairs to tell his wife what he'd just seen and how frightened he felt. He said that he went to the window with his wife and they both looked out, but incredibly, the light had gone. And he couldn't believe how it could have gone so quick, because there was no more than 5 to 10 seconds in running upstairs to tell her. The next thing he did was rush across to the bedroom of his kids to check they were okay. That was the fear that gripped him, and they were just sound asleep. But he just couldn't understand it. He was at an higher elevation, so should have been able to see this light more clearly, yet it had simply vanished out of sight. He told me that the fear never subsided all night, and he told me that when he got into bed he pulled the duvet over his head, just like a little child would do when it's frightened of the dark. So this is just one experience, and we'll cover a few points of this as we walk around now. Whatever he saw clearly didn't want to be seen. And the thought of that and the implications of getting too close to some of this phenomena is truly terrifying. Because if from a distance of 1/4 to 3/4 of a mile away, these lights, that's all it seemed to be, can become aware of being observed, then what would the implications be if you got close to it? What would happen if you were within 30 feet of it, 50 feet of it? Is this how people disappear off the face of the earth? Do you know what would happen? How many more people are sitting on terrifying truths similar to what this man saw? And when you actually consider what he saw, it doesn't sound frightening at all. You know, we all see Chinese lanterns and hot air balloons and fireworks. They don't induce extreme fear in a person. Yet this did. This had an awareness of such a magnitude that it terrified him, and still does to this day. Do you know, I'm not sure what it is about this location, but it's a place that never stops giving when it comes to stories of the strange and unusual. And I'm now overlooking this woodland where, back in 2023, this man suffered a bout of what I would call unimaginable fear, simply by looking at a white light travelling across the top of the trees. How can that be? Is that a true UFO? Is that UFO related? Are we looking at something else? Is it intelligent light that did become aware of him? He thinks it did. And if it did, how did it induce that fear? I guess we'll never know. Look at that. Not exactly a UFO. I suppose then we have to ask ourselves, what was its purpose? What did it want? It was obviously going somewhere or coming from somewhere. Why didn't anybody else see it? You know, the time was between, I think, 11 and 12 at night. And no other reports of this object or objects like it. So many people have these one-off random sightings. I just love to know what it wanted. Remember in 1970, the UFO that landed on the cliff tops of Flamborough, and the landing traces, the circular marks in the ground where this thing landed, are still remembered today by people who lived in Flamborough and are old enough to remember. Did this thing land? Was there something structured behind the sphere of light? And for me, personally, the most compelling question of all is how it was able to induce and create such an overwhelming wave of fear within a person. That truly is terrible. And you just imagine if you've got an old group of people and these objects are able to create that fear in many, many people. Just imagine the impact that it would have if these things arrived en masse and inflicted that fear on the world. Come on, Bob, let's go. The light sphere phenomena that I'm talking about here does not seem to have changed or adapted in at least 50 years, if the reports that I've been given are anything to go by. And this particular stretch of woodland has seen people reporting spheres of white light, yellow light, orange light for decades and decades. Even people fishing offshore have reported seeing them going along the tops of the cliffs. So what are they? And is it some kind of natural phenomena that people aren't aware of? Something that science doesn't really understand and is so rarely seen that it reacts to thought and switches off when it detects the presence of thought. Could that be the reason these things aren't seen? If they can actually hear or predict our thoughts, you know? Difficult to say, isn't it? And we're approaching the sea now. Just about to get where we can have a vantage point of the North Sea. Let's have a look. We're on an extremely low tide, and there's people, is it paragliding? Up there, look at them. How good is that? Let's look at that. They're going to come right over the top of us. What do you think early man would have thought if he'd have seen those flying past 100 years ago? Quite something, isn't it? In your little boat, riding the thermals. Okay, enough of pretend UFOs. Let's get back to this unusual story of the extreme fear. Okay guys, I've come away from the little bit of woodland now and the talk of the sphere of light, but I just want to show you this. Nothing mysterious. Well, I don't think so anyway, but it just shows somebody's been busy making a little den of sorts. And how cool is that? You know, I don't know what the idea of it is, but there's a stone there, so I imagine that somebody's decided they're going to sit on that and maybe just contemplate. I don't know, but interesting. I don't know whether they intend throwing a tarp over it, but you wouldn't want to sit all night, would you? What would the point of that be? So a little detour there, guys, from the sphere of light over the woodland. Come on, Bob, let's go down here. We've seen enough. Let's just walk through these trees and let's consider what the implications of these spheres of light could be. Do we think that they're from some other sphere of existence? Pardon the pun, talking about spheres of light. Do we think that they're visiting us from overlapping or parallel worlds? Or have they simply got the ability to just become visible when they want? And if they do exactly what I've said, if they do become visible and they don't want to be seen, is that the reason they place this unimaginable fear on a person? I don't know. Right, let's have a look up here. This looks interesting. Don't know whether I'm going to get back down in a different location or if I'll have to come back on myself. Probably will, because it's looking a bit dense. But as I walk and as I talk, I'm just considering the story that I've just told you and turning it over in my own mind, because I've got no firm conclusions as to what it was that this man saw. Did he actually have more of an experience than a sighting? I tend to think he did, because the sighting lasted between 1 and 2 minutes. I think he said he watched it for about 30 seconds to a minute. He may have observed it when he shut the curtains as well, checked the doors were locked, but after that he saw nothing. Yet the residue, the after effects of what he'd seen, remained with him all night. So much so that a grown man pulled the duvet over his head and just lay there in the darkness in fear, thinking something. But what? Something, an unknown something, was going to come and get them. Those were the thoughts that were implanted in his head. Terrifying. Not everything within the genre of unexplained phenomena is here for the good of mankind. And you can take that to the bank. Come on. This is what I'm up against. Come on. This way. Get going. Go on. Come on. Oh, look at this. Come on, Bob. This way. Come on, fetch him. Come on. Every time. Why are you doing this? Hey? Come on, that's better. Look at that. Do you know, I wonder if these locations where things of a ritualistic nature are taking place and people seem to be placing objects, I wonder if the spheres of light and the things that people are seeing in this area are the reasons that they're doing it. Do people somehow think that they're evoking certain, I don't know, certain elements of the unexplained? Could be. It's gone really quiet. Can you hear the silence? Absolutely still. You saw the White Lady of Danes Dyke, because as I've said many, many times, when people report this thing, they're only telling me that they've seen a sphere of light. And it's only about 18 months ago that I got a report of a group of teenagers being chased out of the dike. And when I say chased, they were the ones doing the running. A sphere of light doesn't have legs, but they claim that they were pursued out of the dike by a football-sized sphere of light. Obviously that created fear, that caused fear. We're less than a mile away from where this man had his terrifying experience. Is it the same thing? Is it something very ancient that's resident to this particular location? And if I stay here long enough, if I spend enough time in here, will I see it myself?